Okay, so this is the talk regarding the Jetpack Compose, and in this talk we will be having the basics of Jetpack Compose. So this is also very important for Jetpack Compose. To start with the basics, the people who don't know the Compose, they will also start understanding the Compose from very basic idea. For this specifically talk, we are working with the Android educator team to bring up the content of the Jetpack Compose to the to whole audience of Android, basically the Android developers, so that they can also try to more thinking more into working on in Compose instead of XML because of lot of advantage that you guys will get in terms of boost of your performance, your productivity, and less code to write the UI element, and definitely less code also to create very custom UIs. Then we have to do a deal within XML, the traditional way of writing UI codes. Okay, so this session will be about basics. So the basics in terms of is that what is the compose, and what is the importance, and then we will be doing live coding where I'll be explaining the compose basic components that will help you to understand, how to write code, a basic layout in the compose. And in the future of this series we will be going through each videos or each dev talks where we'll be talking more into more depth. We will be going in modifiers, the internal working of modifiers, and then we know how to create a custom layouts as well. So for that, in order to understand those concepts, you have to understand the basics of Jetpack Compose. Okay, so, as I said, the Jetpack Compose. So initially, many of you will heard this. If you are working in Android, you are new or experienced. Definitely, this is very early stage for Jetpack Compose here, and everyone might heard of the name of Jetpack Compose. So what the exact it's a Jetpack Compose is? So basically, it's the new UI kit toolkit. So Compose is new UI toolkit. So toolkit means here is it will contain lot of APIs. You could say the APIs which help you to build UIs in very very better way, or you could say in very simplest way, and then the XML, because it help you to express your UI. It helps you to convert your UI based on your data, right? Because in XML you have to just you have to write static codes here. Just add the tags, and the tags would be there. Then you have to check the logic in Java itself, and then they are based on condition. You will show and disable that code, right? That basic view that you wanted to show. So based on conditions, then it is very interoperable between two languages, XML and Java. And this will definitely increase the coupling between two languages, which is not a good thing if you are working in the software engineering. And it also, in the XML side, it also is based on UI system, a tree based system where if you have to update any view, it will go through each and every parent hierarchy. It will go through this, and then at the end that view will be get updated, right? This would definitely will take time to update a particular view because it need to go through each traversal, and it might be chance, there would be a chance that any parent, जो भी parent वहाँ पे होगा, it would also get updated as well alongside, which should not be a good thing in terms of performance. Also, in terms of XML and old way of writing the UI is very platform oriented. Because why it's a platform oriented is because we have default layouts. We have default parent layouts means वो layouts जो अपने अंदर childs को show करते हैं, and these layouts are not being really shown. For example, linear layout, for example, the linear layout. So these layout you will not see the UI of it, but these are parents, which means it will contain the child, and it will explain them how they are going to show themselves, in the whole parent. So this is the parent layout, and this is very platform independent. Why I'm saying that, as you know, guys, we are in the AOSP, which is Android open source platform, where all the codes are there. जो भी आप कोड लिखते हो लीनियर लेआउट का एक्सएमएल में या फिर आप जावा में भी क्रिएट करते हो व्यूज को, वो सारे के कोड्स वी हैव ऑलरेडी इन द AOSP, and when you write those code it will go through and compile and it will evaluate based on that. For example, for today, let's say I wanted to add one feature in linear layout, so that feature will be in Android 15. It will not in the Android 14 because that already has deployed, right? The Android 14 already had deployed, and it is already been compiled. So we have to write a new OS version to update, XML or new feature in linear layout, because it's very platform dependent, right? So in terms of Compose, it is not platform dependent, it is platform independent. So if I need to add any component, if I need to add any layout, if I need to update any layout, I can do it, right? I can do it easily because it's like a library. It's not platform dependent. Also, it has very less code. You might see a lot of example where one example is very famous, which is recycle view example. So recycle view in XML based, or maybe you can say imperative layout, we have to write adapters, right? We have to write adapters. That adapter is the work of taking the data, and then data would be shown on the UI, right? So you have to write a lot of boilerplate code. You have to write view holder, you have to write adapter class, and many times you have to write diff util class as well for other perspective. So all these classes you have to write in the XML part, or maybe you can say the Java or imperative layout. And if we come to the Compose, it is very easy. I think there is a lazy layout. We will go into much more depth in some time, but there is this layout. You have to just provide how your UI will look like and populate your data. It will automatically show the list with those data that you have provided with the layout that you have provided. For example, in Recycloview, you provided list item, right, to show the particular list, how that particular item would show in the list. Same way, you will give the UI here, and it will take the data and it will show the UI, right? So these are the some of the basic advantages and important advantages to working on Compose. And so these are the basics of the Compose. So Compose is basically a declarative UI. Okay, this concept of declarative UI is there for a long time. It's been used in a web a lot in terms of React. You will see in the React.js, and then there's a Flutter is also adapted the declarative UI, and Swift is also adapted the declarative UI, and now Android is also adapted in terms of Compose, Jetpack Compose, right? Uh, a little bit backstory: the person who worked on React.js declarative UI is the person who proposed Jetpack Compose to Google. Okay, so when he was working in Facebook, he was working on React.js, one of the engineer, and then when he joined Google, he proposed this declarative UI to Google team, and then from there he proposed this Compose idea, and then Jetpack Compose. This is how it comes to the picture, because it has a lot of advantages. One of those very very cool advantages that I see is because if you wanted to update any element, any component, you could say, or a UI element, it will not go through whole structures of parent or other views. Okay, it will directly intelligently, there is a Compose compiler which is very intelligent. It will update that specific UI element. So you can see in terms of performance, it will be very boost performance, right? Because it will only update the UI which need to be updated. Okay, and declarative UI will help you. Okay, ये बताता है आपको कि क्या आपको लिखना है. Okay, not to how to show. It will tell you what to show. Okay, based on data. So it is very data specific. Okay, we can use if else very easily. Okay, so normally the way that we are using if else, and if you say okay, show this component, so similarly UI will be shown. Okay, if you write this, and if your condition is true, it will show that UI, otherwise it will not. You don't have to write visible, invisible. Okay, so there is a concept called recomposition. We will come to that recomposition part later, but recomposition मतलब होता है कि उसी UI को with the new data you should update it. Okay, so whenever new data stream comes up or new data set comes up, Jetpack Compose intelligently says, okay, this UI data is updating, and there is one other component is written. Okay, for example, this is the text जहाँ पे हम text show कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पे image है. So let's say if text is, अगर सिर्फ text का data updated है, तो वो it will only update text component, UI component. It will not touch image component, not at all, because it doesn't need to, because the data is not updated. So this is how recomposition is works. So whenever you update the data, so whenever some data is updated, it will automatically pick the data, and accordingly the UI element get updated. Okay, this is called the recomposition part. A very good very good example of Jetpack Compose, one of the big advantages of writing the code in Jetpack Compose. So these are the importance over XML, and this is what the Jetpack Compose all about. And one more example I would say is the advantage is that it is in Kotlin. You don't have to learn any other languages. Whenever new beginner comes in the Android world, and he wanted to write the code, he doesn't need to learn XML differently, and then other Java and other part. He can learn only Kotlin, and he can do everything. He can work on a UI, he can work on backend, everything. So it's very good that it's in the Kotlin itself. So that means the cohesiveness, cohesiveness is that in one language you are doing everything, right? So which is increasing of cohesiveness and decreasing of coupling. So decreasing a coupling is very important. You have to keep in mind that you should not depend on other language to you don't have to wait the other language to process and then get back to you. If you have already something that you can do yourself, do yourself. That is called the cohesiveness. Try to increase the capability in yourself. Do not depend on other. For example, of dependency injection is the same way, that you don't have to wait other to you don't have to write dependency, other will write for you. That is also coupling, but that is a different case. So coupling is basically to not depend on others, try to stick in your area. So this is what the Kotlin is. So Kotlin in Jetpack Compose is written in Kotlin, and it's also will provide you very easy way to write a very custom layout. So in order to write custom layout, you have to do a lot of things in XML, right? You have to create custom views, right? You have to write a lot of custom views, and then accordingly you will you will use canvas, and then that canvas will help to put each element on where you wanted to put, right? And then there are animation. If you wanted to perform animation, you have to understand of life cycles and all those things. You have to think about it. And then this custom view will go in a custom view group, right? If you wanted to create a custom view group, then it will go into the custom view group, and it has a lot of painful methods that you have to learn to write a custom layout, because there are on measure, on row, on life cycle change, all those things you have to understand, and then you have to write custom view. But in Jetpack Compose, you can show, you can lay out everything the way that you wanted. You don't have to write custom view or anything, because it has tons of UI component that you can include. Yes, there is a support for canvas as well, in terms of if you wanted to write UIs in very fascinating way, then you can use canvas. Okay, but the uses of canvas and understanding of canvas is very easy in Compose if we compare to the XML. So this is how we should more work into Compose, and it will definitely will be more futuristic, and it will be adapting by many other developers around the world. Already a lot of application has been adapting it. Twitter, I think they have almost migrated their UIs in Compose, and other apps are also doing it. Slack is also doing it, and I think Gojek is also doing it. A lot of other companies are working on custom of Jetpack Compose, because they wanted to see the advantages of it. And there is one particular article I would share with you after this this talk. The article is on, I think they have, I'm not able to recall the name of the company, but they are doing the experiment, and they are comparing with the imperative or XML layouts, that how much boost that they are getting in terms of UIs. So they are getting a lot of boost. I will provide the link of that. Then you can go through the comparison. Okay. So far, anyone have any question for the Jetpack Compose basics compared to the XML? A lot of people still have questions regarding the XML way and Compose way. I will open to take if you have any questions. Okay. I think we don't have any questions. Okay. Next is we will move toward the Jetpack Compose. How to write Jetpack Compose code. Okay. This is a critical thing here. I'm not saying critical, but still is very difficult for Android developer to think in a declarative way because one second. Okay. So how to write Jetpack Compose? So Jetpack Compose ये काफी critical इसलिए भी हो गया because of the way of thinking. Android developer basically we are more inclined toward this XML because we just हम normally जाते हैं हम XML के tags create करते हैं and उन tags से हम लोग normally अपना layout तैयार करते हैं right XML में. But the way that Jetpack Compose is that you have to write in Kotlin and where to put things. How to add new properties, so you have to learn all those things. So learning curve is there in Jetpack Compose definitely, but if you learn it will be worth learning the components because it will boost your productivity. ये काफी कम time में you can able to create UIs. I think Manish did an experiment. Is that इसने क्या किया था अभी he is in the Unacademy. So what he is doing is that एक simple इसने को पेज उठाया, ठीक है, एक अपने बंदे से बोला कि how much time did you take to complete in XML because that page is already have been made. So he said 3 days I have taken to make this page with the loaded UI. But he said he also create that page, same page in Jetpack Compose, but in half day. Okay, so you can see the difference between the timing of writing the UI code in terms of XML with populated data. I'm not saying in Jetpack Compose में मनीष ने कोई data populate नहीं किया. With populated data, we are able to do in half day. You are able to do in only UI. Half plus more day, you will able to do the data population as well. So you will say 1 day for whole Jetpack Compose UI. This is complex UI. I'm not saying you have to write only one recycle view. This is if you have lot of recycle view and you have to write lot of item views. So in that way I'm saying, okay. So उस way में he took only 1 day to populate it and XML में 3 days. So you can see the difference of productivity. So that is the beauty of Jetpack Compose. If you learn it, you will not. I will not say you will go back to XML. You will stick to the XML. And you will stick to the Jetpack Compose if you start working on it. And it is the way that they design the APIs of Jetpack Compose is very friendly. Okay, they have the concept of declarative UI. So why I'm saying declarative UI? So okay, first understand the basics of declarative UI. I know a lot of you might also have what is declarative UI. So declarative UI is basically you declare what to show. आप बताते हो कि आपको क्या शो करना है UI पे, राइट? सो आपने बताया कि मुझे एक रो बनाना है, तो UI में एक रो बन जाएगा लेआउट, ओके? और इसके अंदर मुझे 2 टेक्स्ट डालने हैं, राइट? 2 टेक्स्ट मैंने ऐसे लिख दिया 2 बार. तो रो या
Sorry to disturb you. Are you sharing screen?
I'm not.
Are you writing something on the screen? Yeah, we are not able to see.
Oh my god. Okay. I thought I already did. Okay, sorry guys. Are you guys able to see it? Manish, is my screen?
Yeah. Now we can see. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I actually start recording. I didn't see that part. No worries. Still, we have a lot of things.
Yeah, because the earlier part was the pretty much about the only about the theory, so no worries.
Okay.
Now, yeah, continue.
Okay. So okay, let's. So Jetpack Compose में मैंने बताया कि उसके अंदर में we have if you write raw, okay. So ये क्या करेगा? आपको raw create कर देगा. and based on the properties, so आपने जो भी properties दी है कि either it should be vertical alignment, or horizontal alignment, based on that it will create a layout. And इसमें आप क्या करो, you just have to write कि आपको लिखना, आपको show क्या करना है, तो you have just need to write two component text. so ये क्या करेगा, ये समझेगा, okay, you just declare these things, you declare, okay, I want this text, so it will automatically, based on your properties, it will show two text here, right? So this is what the declarative UI is. So you declare the things, so it is very easy to understand. If you understand it right, it is very easy to do. So declarative is basically what you wanted to show, you will write, right? So this is what the Jetpack Compose is. Let's deep go into the live coding part, where you will be understanding through coding how to write code. Okay, so since it's a basic class, ये basic class है, तो इसके अंदर अपन लोग basic ही अभी करेंगे, and accordingly हम लोग धीरे धीरे मूव करेंगे और components पे और चीज़ों पे, okay, through next sessions. Okay, so I think get stuck. Yeah, so in activity there is a set content. So there is a concept called in Jetpack Compose how to write UI code. Okay, so for that few simple thing जो मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ. एक तो है composable. Okay, so उन्होंने क्या डिसाइड किया UI बनाने के लिए, functions के थ्रू में UI बनेगा. Okay, they have decided to go with the functions. So for all the components you have to call the objects or functions. Okay, you have to write composable functions. So composable is those functions which represent UI. Okay, so एक नॉर्मल जैसे हम लोग क्वार्टरली में बनाते हैं फंक्शन show my UI. So how, okay, so this means that ये function का काम ये है कि UI show करने का, right? So how does it convert to the Jetpack Compose? So there is a annotations, they use annotations, we are using annotations in Jetpack Compose to convert any normal function to UI function. Okay, तो UI function का मतलब क्या है कि ये functions execute होंगे, that means it will show some UI on this screen. Okay, so you have to write composable. Okay, so when you write composable, then that means that this function will show a UI. Okay, normally composable function will not return anything, it will only there to show UI. Okay, and there would be these parameters which will be a data that will be shown on UI. Okay, and based on these parameters, this function will re-executed by the compose compiler. Okay, because क्या होगा कि आपने कोई UI बनाया, for example you have text here. Okay, and this text में there is a name in the parameter and you are showing that name here. Okay, so let's say आपने दोबारा इस function को call किया with different name. So now this function will be get executed at runtime, re-executed, which is recomposition. Okay, with the new data, with the new name. Okay, so when you write composable, this function automatically get converted to the UI element. Okay, think it as a UI element. Okay, so that is what you will see in the Jetpack Compose code here. So this composable, ये यहाँ पे क्या शो कर रहा है, ये यहाँ पे शो कर रहा है कि this function is showing some UI. Okay, and one more thing, composable functions सिर्फ composable दूसरे function से ही call हो सकते हैं. You cannot call composable out from normal function. Okay, so this the set content. Okay, so startingly जब आप start करोगे compose में, तो there would be a set content which kind of host for Jetpack Compose or starting point for Jetpack Compose, where you will be start providing your composable functions. Okay, and similarly Jetpack Compose में भी आपको themes के options मिल जाते हैं, colors मिल जाते हैं. Okay, you have fonts, you have lot of drawables and all those things. So we will start with the theme. If we click on this theme part, you will see it is also a composable function. You can see I uses FUI template theme, right, in the set content. So if you click on it, this is also a composable function. One more important thing कि जब भी आप compose function write करोगे, composable functions, do not normally हम function क्या करते हैं, small words से start करते हैं, right? This f would be small, right? But compose में क्या होता है, the name convention of it is as a Pascal. Pascal convention. So Pascal convention क्या बोलता है? First word of your function name would be capital, right? This is not camel case. This is a Pascal way of writing. So जब भी आप कोई compose function create करोगे तो आप Pascal में start करोगे. And try to use noun here. Okay, do not try to use text, normal text. You do not try to call it as a text. Use noun, as terms of your function name. That would be more um, you know conventional way of writing composable. Okay, these are the guidelines for naming conventions. Okay, now in theme, so theme basically decide कि आपको किस तरीके का theme show करना है अपने ऐप में. So you can see it's very easy to understand here. Okay, so we have this. Let me just make it as a full code. Okay, so we have this dark theme. So अपने को क्या करना है कि let's say we have decided to provide UI for both dark theme or light theme. So you don't have to write two different code. You just have to provide a boolean value. Based on that boolean value, we will show light color or dark color theme. Okay, so this color value which will be going through this material theme will be coming from this dark theme here as a boolean value. And this is what? This is lambda function, right? Trailing lambda function, right? So lambda means is that the parameter, your function can take parameter as a function. That means ये function एक दूसरे function का as a parameter take कर रहा है, ठीक है? वो भी at the end of this parameter. So you can use this leading lambda. I will show you in the UI. So if you have lambda function, you don't have to call content, right? You can directly open and close braces here. It will be calling this function, this content function itself. Okay, so that is the advantage of Kotlin. Just if you are passing function in a parameter, you can use lambda. Okay, so this lambda get executed and this content is basically जो आपका content होगा UI, जो भी आपका UI होगा होम पे शो होने के लिए वो ये content होगा. Okay, so first में हमने क्या दिया? First we'll provided the theme. अगर हमने theme नहीं दिया तो by default as you can see is a system in dark. Okay, let's go in this one. This is by default predefined function which will check what is the system theme. Okay, what is your phone theme? So based on your phone अगर उसमें light theme पहले से enable होगा पूरे home के लिए तो light theme पे चलेगा, अगर उसमें dark theme होगा तो dark theme पे चलेगा. Okay, so this is what is dark theme is. Content is जो भी आपका कोड होगा वो यहाँ execute होगा. Okay, and one more thing, this Jetpack Compose is already come with the material design, so you don't have to add material design library. It is already come under the box with the material design. So we have already colors, typography, shapes, and content. This content will be the body, and this typography is basically what kind of typography that you guys are showing on the text. Okay, so now we have trailing function. So we directly append as a open and close curly braces. So this is lambda. Under the lambda, this is surface. So surface क्या होता है normally? Surface एक small भाषा में बोलूँ तो एक अपना normal surface है. जैसे for example, this is also a surface, right? जिस पे हम लोग write कर रहे हैं. So that is a screen basically. Okay, जो एक normal surface होगा. And उसका हमने यहाँ पे color किया हुआ है and the size we have also defined. Okay, सरफेस के अंदर में जब हमने डिफाइन कर दिया तो उसके अंदर भी हमारे कंटेंट है. ओके, दिस इज ऑल्सो अ कंटेंट. लेट मी ओपन द सरफेस एज वेल, सो आपको पता चल जाए कि कंटेंट विल बी देयर. यू कैन सी द कंटेंट इज हियर, राइट? दिस इज अ फंक्शन, सो वी कैन यूज ट्रेलिंग लैम्डा, जिसका मतलब ये होगा कि आप ओपन और क्लोज ब्रैकेट लगा के अपना यूआई शो कर सकते हो, राइट? सो फार यू गाइस अंडरस्टैंडिंग, राइट, कि कैसे हम लोग कंपोज क्रिएट करते हैं स्टार्टिंग से. नाउ दिस is the point that you will be writing your UI code. Okay, जो भी आपको लिखना है, आपको layouts बनाने हैं, you will start writing, you will start calling your functions, which is for example the greeting function that I have created. So this is composable function जिसका काम क्या है, एक normal text show करना है, which is hello, and this parameter, whatever parameter that I provided will be shown. Okay, so this is a composable function because I have written the composable annotation. And this is the text that will be shown, right? I just declare it, just show the text. I didn't have to write and describe the text. Okay, so this is how this is so easy to write the code here. Okay, so you have all the UI components जो भी आपके XML में थे वो सारे इसमें अवेलेबल है. You have button as well. You have you have images, you have the layouts, you have the animation classes, all those things that you have already have in XML. It's there, it's pre-built here. Okay, so we can go through that other part as well in the later of the sessions. Now अगर आपको प्रीव्यू देखना है, नाउ इन एक्सएमएल में क्या होता था कि आप नॉर्मली आपने कोड लिखा और आप यहाँ पे प्रीव्यू देख सकते थे साथ में, राइट? Similarly, in Jetpack Compose, you can also able to do it. What you have to do, you have to write a function, make it as a composable, but you have to write one more annotation, which is preview. Okay, and preview has a lot of other parameters that you can use. Okay, I think it has a system UI. Okay, they have the other function you can go through from here. Okay, if you wanted to show some system UI, if you wanted to add some background, जो भी आपको प्रीव्यू में बैकग्राउंड ऐड करना है वो आप ऐड कर सकते हो. दिस विल नॉट अफेक्ट योर app UI. This is just a preview. Okay, and you don't have to call this function from your set content. It will get called automatically in here, and you will see the updated UI in this section of split. Okay, and here we will call these same functions जो हमने set content में call किया था. We will call here, which is a theme, and then we'll show the UI itself. Okay, so basically मैंने एक birthday greeting text मैंने का नाम का एक function create किया है जो the work of it is just to show an image. Okay, so image को show करने के लिए what you have to do, you have to get the paint resources. Okay, paint resources is responsible for showing an image. Okay, there are other things as well. If you wanted to give bitmap, so bitmap क्या directly you can provide bitmap. You don't have to write painter resources for that. You can see it can take image vector, bitmap, painter, right? And painter is the one that will get the local resource files. जो भी आपके drawables में folders में पड़े होंगे उसको आप लेके you can show the images. Okay, and for image and other APIs they have now. Okay, normally Android में क्या होता है, Android are being used by a lot of peoples, right? And few peoples are also very disabled. They don't able to understand. So in order to provide the accessibility, few APIs you have to provide here, right? You have to write, which is content description, right? So this content description you have to write, otherwise you will see an error or warning from Android Studio. So this is also been taken care from Android team, that if you don't have any content description, you can provide null. If you have, please provide it, because it will increase the accessibility of your UI itself. So in image you have to write two things. First is painter or image resource or maybe bitmap, and then the content description. And this is only thing you need to show, right? And then it will show on the UI itself. Okay, ये directly show कर देगा. And this function itself a UI element जो ये बताता है कि it will show. Okay, let me just update the name here. I think I forgot to update the name. It is there to show the birthday card greeting image, right? So just rename it, which is sorry, I'm not using any shortcuts here, but still so this function is telling that it will show birthday card greeting image, and this is what the compose is, right? So these are the components. Okay, these are the child components. Okay, one few more things before we can end this session. Basics में और किसी को, if you have any doubts so far, you can ask. I'm open to take question now. Hello.
No doubts till now. Okay.
Awesome. So these are the UI components that will be shown on UI. Some UI components which will not show, those are parent components or layout components. Okay, so layout components normally show नहीं होते. It is there to arrange your child components. Okay, for example, layouts like linear layouts, other layouts as well. So in composable there is a three major layout that I will be showing: row, column and box. Okay, so अभी मैं थोड़ा सा ये तीन ही बता रहा हूँ. You can explore more. I will provide link for that. कि और भी अलग अलग layouts कौन से होते हैं. We also have constraint layout, right? So as the name explains, this raw layout will be arranging your layout in the raw fashion. Okay, we don't have any linear layout here which has vertical and horizontally arranging the child. We have raw column, separate two layouts to arranging the childs. So row is responsible to show UI in raw, and column is responsible for showing UI in column. Okay, and box here, box will be showing the UI in terms of stack, one of another. Okay, if let's say in the box you have write two text. Okay, one text is here and one text is here, so it will be shown on the one top of another. You can think of like the stack. Okay, so this is how the box will be there. So these are the parent, these are the layouts, and other components that you are going to show is the UI components or elements, UI elements you could say. So these are the basics of composable, how you can write codes composable. You can write normally raw here, raw, and you have to import it. This is in the compose. Now you got the raw, and you just have to write your UI component. You have to write the text here. Let's say anything you can write, any UI component, and it will show in the row manner. Okay, if you write column, it will show in the column, right? One in the vertical, right? And this will show in the horizontal way. So this is the layout. This is how you can create layouts, and this is how you can show the text. Okay, one simple task that you can do in the home. Let's say I wanted to show this UI, which is there is a one text review, and then there is a 5-star review. Only this, the text and then 5-star. How you guys can able to create it? This is very simple. As you can see from UI, this is in the raw fashion. So first we can call the raw. Now when you call the raw, you know that it will be now whatever element you write here, ये सारे elements raw में show होंगे, right? So you write raw here, and then for review you will write text, right? Review, and then for this star you can use image, right? And then you can provide a star image here. This is how simply you can able to create UI. Is anyone having any questions? Okay, so let's say एक सिंपल सा एक चीज और देख लेते हैं एंड करने से पहले. लेट्स से इंस्टाग्राम यूआई है. अब किसी भी यूआई को यू जस्ट हैव टू सी एंड से ओके कि कौन सा लेआउट यूज होने वाला है. ओके, देयर आर अदर थिंग्स, लिस्ट के भी लेआउट्स अलग अलग है, बट अभी जो मैंने सिंपल लेआउट्स बताए हैं उसमें यू कैन टेल कि either it's going to be a row or column. Okay, so let's open this one. You guys are able to see this screen, right? Okay, now see this profile picture. So profile picture में क्या है, अपन लोगों ने क्या किया, इसमें शो किया हुआ है there is a one profile photo, then there is a name, and then there is a place कि वो बंदा कहाँ रुका हुआ है. How you are able to do it? Okay, now let's create in the compose. So आपको क्या करना है, सबसे पहले you can see this two components, the image and this one. Think it as a single component, and this is a single component. So you can see it is a row in a row. So आपको क्या करना है, सबसे पहले row, you will create a row. Now first is image, you can put an image here. Now look at this part, image, name and place. You can see this is not row, this is column, right? ये column है because this is come in vertical. So you will create one more inside row, you will create one more column, and in that column you will write two text which contains name and text which contain place, right? So when you execute this code, when you write this UI, you will able to see this one. You got right. this is how easy you can able to create any UI. Just by looking at it, you can tell, okay, यहाँ row लगना है या column लगना है, right? I will be explaining the more sessions और कौन-कौन से layouts होते हैं that you can use. जैसे for example this list, you can call you can use raw, okay, इस list के लिए, and आप क्या कर सकते हो, 5 images call कर सकते हो, तो 5 image show हो जाएंगे, right? But dynamic अगर list है तो उसको कैसे करना है? There is a layout, there is also a layout there which you can use to dynamically add more elements. But for simple understanding, you can see top में भी अगर आप देखोगे तो this is also arranging in a row manner, right? Okay, so far anyone has any questions for the basics part, how to write code, and these basics functions or elements? I think we are pretty good here, right?
Ankit, there is one question
Sure.
in the chat box.
In Jetpack?
Yes.
In chat.
Acha, in chat. Okay, sorry. Manish, can you spell? I think. Okay, there is icon there. In XML. Okay, there are questions. In XML, we are having two files for UI in XML files and UI interaction and activity. But in Compose, we will be writing both UI and UI interaction in one file. So, will it be not hard to manage it? I know we do not call all the business logic on the main screen, but still, it will have more cores of the lines. Okay, so no, it would not be harder than XML. The reason is there. Okay, so let me just go to open board. सो एक्सएमएल में क्या था आपका, पहले आप यूआई को डिसाइड करोगे और उसके बाद में फिर आप जावा में जाके या फ्रैगमेंट एक्टिविटी में जाके आप पहले वैल्यू सेट करते हो, राइट? एक एक वैल्यू को फाइंड करते हो. इफ यू आर यूजिंग व्यू बाइंडिंग देन यू जस्ट हैव टू कॉल द वेरिएबल नेम एंड देन यू विल set the values, click listener, all those things. But in Compose, आपका जो composable functions है, right? You can provide the view model there and get the value from view model on the UI element itself. Okay. So you don't have to, write one more extra code and other things as well in the Compose. Yes, if you increase the UI and other functions, you have to maintain the files. You have to, maintain your composable functions in a very scalable way, right? You have to provide abstraction somehow that if you write some function, nobody else, has permission to update it. So we have to provide some abstraction as well from the software engineering perspective. But it's easier than the XML part.
And one more thing you can do, you can basically divide it into the separate component, right? So, and you for the different utility composable, right? You can use it at a whenever you want, right? So if there is some UI, some component, it's reusable, right? Like a header, like some other component which you can reuse, right? So you can make a custom header or whatever you have, make that composable at utility composable and use it in over the code. So your one file is not bloated.
Right. And you can write reusable components as well, right? That will be more helpful as well. Okay. So you can try out few things. You can create a business card in your kind of home assignment. You can just provide the email, phone number, and photo here. Okay, or maybe signature here and at the top photo here. So based on the raw column, you can use it. Don't go for custom view, custom components and layout for now. Just try out few things so that you can get familiar. Okay, and you will get to know other things as well. So that is it from my side for basics, just to show you guys the importance and how to write a simple code in Jetpack Compose. That's it from my side. From next video, we'll be start learning about modifiers. Okay, and I think Manish has one more sessions. He will be explaining the basics, because modifiers also comes in the basics as well. So modifiers and the constraint layout, other or maybe lazy layout, where the list will be shown. We will be try to explain you guys the other basics, and then we will start moving toward the custom layouts as well. Okay, so that's it from my side, guys. I will be